Namaste, beautiful. It feels good to say those words to you. And I hope that it will not be too much longer before we can once again be recognizing the light within each other in future asana classes. However, first I have a couple of things I would like to talk about. Number one is Satya, truthfulness. Satya is the second of the Yamas, and the Yamas are the first of the 8 limbs of yoga. The Yamas are our social principles that basically are kind of moral guidelines for how to go about our life. Whether we are following the path of yoga or not, I think that they can be helpful. So I've already talked about ahimsa in a past video. Now I want to talk about Satya, truthfulness, for many reasons. One, because it's very important to me both to be truthful and for others to be truthful in their interactions with me. And it's also very important, in my opinion, in the asana practice. So I think everybody knows what truthfulness is, what it means to be an honest person, right? But when we translate Satya, then it essentially means to say that which is. And I've read something before about it's saying to say that which is rather than saying that which is not, right? And so, or rather than saying that which you wish was. That's it. So I think about that a lot in terms of, telling the truth versus lying, right? And people's reasons for choosing one or the other. I think it's a lot easier to tell the truth when it is in line with as we wish, right? And then sometimes, if maybe we wish that we did something different than we actually did, then we might accidentally or on purpose say, right, that we did the thing that we wish, even though we did the other thing. Right, and so I think this sense of wishing actually very much informs and guides that which we decide to both say to another and even sometimes convince ourselves of. And so bringing that into the asana practice, when we're deciding how to go about our physical movement for the day, it can be hard sometimes to be honest with ourselves about what practice we're choosing and why we're choosing it, right? Sometimes the body doesn't really want to do something that is exerting a lot of strength or exerting a lot of effort or something like that. But sometimes we choose to do it anyway. And then sometimes when we choose to do it anyway, then we're convincing ourselves that for some reason we needed to do that. When if we actually think about it, then most likely the reason that we chose to do that thing, even though the body was saying no, has to do with ego, right? And so I just really want to encourage everyone to consider the truth before choosing whether it is a class that you're taking or it's your own practice, right? So I almost never take other classes, and so when I practice, then it's either my own or it's Ashtanga. And I have to really check in with myself so that I'm making sure that I am being honest when I choose what to do. And I wasn't always like that. I definitely, in the past, would more often than I do now choose to do things that were harder when my body didn't want to, you know, during different phases of my menstrual cycle or life or whatever. I would choose to do things that were too hard and that exhausted me. And I know now, and I think I even knew then, right, that I was being guided by ego in those times. I wanted to be able to do certain skills. Usually that was the thing, right? Or even, to be honest, I wanted for various parts of my body to be stronger. That's the truth. I did, at points in my life, very much let my ego and my desire for various things to be stronger guide my practice rather than the truth of how I was feeling and the thing that would be best for me in that moment. So, all that being said, you don't have to do that, right? And it can still be practicing Satya by acknowledging the truth, right? So if you are choosing to do something outside of what your body wants to do because your ego wants maybe your biceps to be stronger or something like that, you do a bunch of chaturangas or, you know, even if you are acknowledging, yeah, I'm doing this because I want my biceps to be stronger, even though my body is tired and doesn't want to do it, that's still practicing Satya, right? So it doesn't always have to be letting the body guide or transcending ego. If you're acknowledging that you're not transcending ego, that's still practicing truthfulness. And it's also still totally fine, in my opinion. Right? I mean, it's like, if you think about it, why do you really need to transcend ego? What, so that then you can reach moksha and not continue this cycle of samsara? I mean, this whole idea, not to go off on a tangent, but it's not me if I don't go off on a tangent. So essentially in yoga, the whole idea is that we're working towards this samadhi, this enlightenment, for the purpose of then breaking the cycle of samsara. And the cycle of samsara is the continued reincarnation, essentially. And so the idea is once you have realized the truth and you can kind of stay in that state for a long time, then you will stop the reincarnation and you will reach moksha, which is kind of like equivalent to like a heaven type thing, right? You just kind of exist as this, then the soul, instead of having the human experience. And the purpose of trying to do that is because it's said that this human experience is, has all the suffering and it's very difficult. But I mean, in my experience, yeah, that's true, but it's also fun, and if I'm practicing Satya, if I'm being honest, sometimes when I go really deep And I'm going for a long time that I'm going deep into meditation. I'm doing not much other than yoga, like I was in Tulum. Then I eventually get to a point that I'm like, wait, am I gonna break samsara? I'm being so serious right now. And I'm like, do I even want to do that? And so then I'll like start doing other things again. Like that's when I'll start to, I got here and I started swimming and I took some surfing lessons. And sometimes when I go out to eat, then I have a margarita. Usually not, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I even have two. Because I get to this point that I'm like, well, but the human experience is okay too. And also, I mean, I'm almost 36. It's really not that old. I have a long time to probably, continue. So, I mean, it was partly a tangent, but also partly, another example of Satya. But so yeah. And then I did want to just address one other thing about choosing classes and about Satya, which is very much related to why I stopped making videos. And I'm actually going to make this into a 2-part video, so I'm going to continue talking about that in the next part. So otherwise, if you don't feel like watching the next part, then my encouragement is to simply ask yourself why you're practicing. Ask yourself why you're choosing what you're choosing. Do your best to be honest with yourself, and also know that whatever the reason is okay. And hopefully knowing that whatever the reason is okay helps to increase the instance of being truthful about it. Yeah. All right. So moving on.